And good morning, Eric. Good morning. Well, got to break that habit. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to Chat Canna. Have you heard? Our first opportunity to be live this afternoon at 3 o'clock. We've decided to flip the show into the afternoon. A couple of reasons why. Folks were not catching us live at the 10 o'clock spot very much anyway. And it gives us more time in the day to decide what's happening, what's important, and also a better time to catch our guests for the Tuesday and Thursday long format shows. So we're pretty excited that we're going to be doing this. And we've been kind of scrambling today to get things put together and making them all work. Have an interesting news article for you. And also a kind of a commentary on certainly what's been happening with actually some background foundational belief of that it's even happening more today out there. Kind of an interesting time and thing that's going on. So that's what we want to tell you about, and just to share that with you today. So for this Monday, January 25th, and generally from now on, Chat Canna will be at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Central Time, for those of you that do catch us over in Europe. And we welcome all of you and love that you are checking in with us. And thank you very much for the email. So today, there's one big story that we do want to talk about. It slid into the actions of the House and Senate and the President before January. And it's only come out now. And let me tell you how it happened. But what it is, it's a restriction on shipments of vaping products. And it actually became a law against us without even using the word hemp. This is how these things happen. Companies that are selling vaping products online, including those with CBD cartridges, are going to have to find alternatives to the United States Postal Service, and also already FedEx is in the game. Late in December, Congress approved an appropriations bill to keep the government running. You know, they do this at the end of the year. And also slipped into that was the Preventing Online Sales of E-Cigarettes to Children Act that prohibited the U.S. Post Office from shipping vaping products. It clearly targeted nicotine cigarettes. But here's how they wrote it out, and watch what happened here. By the way, it takes effect in March, 90 days after it was signed, but so it's happening. If you are selling vaping products, you have to register with the U.S. Attorney General. You have to implement an age verification system. Shipping through private companies such as UPS, DHL, FedEx require a signature upon delivery. FedEx has already said, it's over, we're not in it. And so the U.S. Post Office and FedEx is already out of the game. I promise you, DHL and UPS will be out as soon as they go through about it. Here's where the wording is interesting. The term electronic nicotine delivery system is what they used in the law. And that was broadly defined to include any product that delivers nicotine, flavor, or any other substance to the user inhaling from the device. And the lawyers have already interpreted any other substance to include hemp. The guys that wrote the law said that they did not intend it to include vaping of nicotine or cannabis. That was not their intent. But those are the words that are now in the bill. The bill will have to be defuncted because it is going to be one of those bills that the lawyers will start fighting. Somebody will get arrested for it. They'll get taken to court. It's going to take some high priority, the lawyers like the ones that that went to court with O.J. Simpson. It's going to be those kind of lawyers that are going to make big headlines, and they will get it thrown out. But do you want to be the guy that gets arrested and have to hire those kind of lawyers? This is just an ugly thing that got slid through. Punishment would be 3 years in prison, big fines, and your company will likely get shut down. Of course, we know the CBD side of our business is full of what they consider to be, I hate doing that, renegades. And renegades don't often follow the letter of the law, so they're going to sneak it through. But it's gonna be wild because the fly-by-night companies are going to be delivering it, telling the post office, no, that's not what's in it. It's to my Aunt Susie and whatever. So this is going to hit the news starting in March when the law goes into effect. And of course, CBD companies are going to be shipping it anyway because they need to ship it to their customers. And there's going to be no way to do it. And that's what we got right now. So that's how a bill goes bad, because it was the law of unintended consequences. And so I totally get wanting to pass a law against not being able to ship nicotine vaping cartridges because I could just ship them out to a 14-year-old using mommy's credit card in another state, because the kid can't go and buy them at the local cigarette store because they got to have his ID card and they're following the laws. All makes sense. But by not carefully having the lawyers scan the wordage, this got passed and it slid through at the last minute as part of the keeping the government running thing. You know, going back like 50 years, that's how the firearms bills became part of the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms laws. They slid that through when they were making alcohol, tobacco laws. In order to get it pushed through, they said, hey, we can slide this on here because we know that this many senators and representatives are in agreement with the alcohol and tobacco part of it. We'll just slide some firearm controls on this and make it the ATF. And, you know, firearms should have never been part of alcohol and tobacco, no matter how you might feel about laws and firearms. And, you know, I'm not going to tell you how I feel about it. I'm just saying it should have not been part of A&T. These things are the way our government runs, and it probably always will. Making sausages and democracy are two things that are best left unseen. I could never work in making laws. I could never run for a legislative or a Senate position because I cannot do what they do day in and day out and have to settle with the compromises when something you know is the right thing, but you get 40% of it because that's the best you can get. I can't operate that way. I am much more a Bill Gates or an Elon Musk or probably a Thomas Edison of the time, or you know, any of those guys back then. I am certainly that double A kind of personality. And unfortunately, so is my business partner. But we have figured out a way to make it work, and it works really good. But that person seldom comes along in your life. So if you find a person like that, don't let go. Whatever it takes to compromise, whatever you got to do to make it work, don't let it go. Anyway, that's the business side of Chat Canna for today. A little bit on the observational side. You know, we got into this business and I had only heard about hemp being used for rope, of course, in the past. That's why it was planted all around here in Minnesota. And that's why it was still growing wild in so many places, particularly railroad shutdown sidings and crossings and ditches and not switchbacks, but you know, where the river had done a circle and then now that's closed together in those places. And then, of course, we were hearing about paper. The Constitution, Bill of Rights are written on hemp paper. And I have some hemp cloth that I bought 20 years ago, and a wallet. Oh, here, I always wanted to show you. This is my hemp wallet, bought up in Winnipeg. It says Hemp Star right there. And after 20 years of way overpacking it, I'd like to tell you it's with money, but it's actually with too many credit cards. And it even has a zipper pocket here. You know, in Europe, everybody has to carry euro. And I have, well, there's some, it's a Pfennig, penny in Germany. Usually it's got 5 or 10 euro in it and some 2 euro. But now after 20 years, it's finally starting to unravel. And there you can see an actual thread. That's 2 threads there, but you can actually see the thread that this was woven with. Beautiful. It's as soft as your t-shirt. And it's been opened and closed thousands of times. And finally, from putting it into my pocket right there, you know, it's let go. But if I could find another, I'll look for it on the internet now. Hate to retire this girl. Anyway, but you know, when we got into the hemp business now 3 years ago, there was only talk of CBD and the medical side and the oil side a little bit, and then the food side a little bit. But there just wasn't much talk about fabric and in the industrial side. And I'm telling you now, it is the industrial side that's coming to the forefront. CBD is not backing up. Don't misunderstand. It's not going like this. CBD and now the industrial side is coming up. And it's coming up. And I believe, certainly for here, you know, in Vermont and the little states in the east, and in California, where there can be backyard or up against the mountains kind of little spaces. But for us here in the Midwest, and I consider the Midwest where Montana ends and where Chicago and the Great Lakes start, that's the Midwest to me. And that's from the Canadian border down to about Missouri. That to me is the Midwest. And for us here in the Midwest, we need fields that go from road to road. And for that, it's going to be industrial hemp. And for that industrial hemp, it's going to be taking the whole plant off of the field, even if there's some CBD product there, or we're going to get strains that can be industrial on the bottom and some CBD stuff on the top. That's what's coming. And that's what we all have to learn about. So we can have a 40 or an 80 or even 160 acre field. That's what you got to watch for. And that's what the farmers here are listening for. That's what my first cousins once removed are waiting for me. They're saying, John, when you say, I've got it, that's when they want to sit down and talk to us, because they're all totally open for newness in this and ready to go. But they can't do it on a couple acres. Their machines need more than a couple acres to turn around. You know, it's a tractor and the seeder and the piece that's holding the fertilizer, or the seed and then the piece that's holding the fertilizer. They you know, that's what was that song, the country song years ago? Give me 40 acres and I'll turn this rig around. And that's almost becoming true here now. That's an exaggeration, but it's almost becoming true. So it's the fiber that can make cloth and paper and wall material, perhaps someday wallpaper, all sorts of things like that. And then the part inside that's called the HURD, and that's animal bedding. And it can be used to make the plastic molding in the cars, or not plastic, the hemp molding in the cars. Because when you trash that car a few years later, it's not an oil-derived plastic that's harmful for the environment. You can just set her out in the sun for a few years and it's gone. All good stuff. That's the point I wanted to make today on Have You Heard? It's coming, folks, and it's coming like a freight train. And even if it's not for you, you need to learn about it. So when all of this other stuff is over, you can be sitting having a beer with your friends in a bar and you know what you're talking about. By the way, I got my first injection the other day, and on February 11th, I will have my second one. And hopefully 3 weeks after that, I'll be able to go out on the road and make my first trip. And I have so many places I want to stop, and so many of you listeners that I'm going to get out and I'm going to see your operations. I'm going to see some hemp industrial facilities, and we're going to be bringing all those reports to you. That's Chat Canna for the first afternoon of our new format. Looking forward to having more with you and to bring those to you. In the meantime, get out, talk hemp with your friends at a socially respectable distance, and we'll see you all tomorrow afternoon.